Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Thursday, October 12th, 2023. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, the Bitcoin price chart, the altcoin market, XRP price chart. We'll look over there at the US dollar currency index. Of course, we'll look at metals, we'll look at the stock market, everything that's happening as the stock market is opening right now. We get ready to kick off our Thursday. One more day till Friday. We're almost there, you guys. My daughter has had me, but my brother-in-law had told me that when he wakes his son up on Monday, he walks in and wakes him up and says, "It's Monday. It's 5 days of the weekend. Get up." And I'm like, wow, that's cruel. But then as he gets later into the week, he starts saying, "Hey, 2 days to Friday." So my daughter has requested that I do that in the morning now. And today we said, hey, it's 1 day till Friday. So, all right, we're almost there, you guys. Looking over here at the cryptocurrency market as the stock market kicks off, we've got a little bit of a mix over there. Let me get this. I'm trying to do these things on my phone at the exact same time so I can give you a report here. You got a little bit of a mix over there in the stock market as we have some red action over here in crypto. You got a couple coins in the green. We'll take a look at that real quick. Normally you can see everything on the right side over here. But in order for me to fit everything on there that I'm doing, we'll come to this chart here in a minute. You can see we got a couple in the green, mostly in the red over here in crypto as we have approached our time of where in 2016 we left our range. Question is, will it continue? And I don't know if you guys noticed, CZ Binance commented on my post yesterday on Twitter, and he followed me. So I'm like, oh no, this guy's like the biggest liquidity maker in crypto, and he has seen this. Is he like, abort? I don't know. We'll touch on that later. But as you can see, we're in here. We'll dive into all this. You got mix over there in stocks. You had the CPI data come out today. You had the consumer price index come out today. Expectation was 0. Oh boy. Be prepared, BCB. Be prepared. Expectations for consumer price index for month over month expectations was 0.3%. We ended up having 0.4%. Expectation for year over year was 3.6%, but we had 3.7%. Now, last month when we had the year over year reading, we were at 3.7. So the expectation was that we'd have a slightly lower month over month, which would have ticked us down to 3.6 for the year over year. Instead, we just stay flat at 3.7. So we have 2 months in a row now at 3.7% year over year CPI, with month over month being 0.4%. Last month with our last reading, we did have a 0.6%. So slight improvement there from what we had last month. And then on core CPI, we went from 4.3% year over year down to 4.1% year over year. So core actually did meet on the month over month and on the year over year. However, as we get those readings come out, as you miss on CPI slightly, what happens? Dollar, boom, up, and away it goes. Let's take a peek here. Indexes, you can see slightly up. Dow's up 14 points. The S&P is up 3 points, and the Nasdaq's up 29. So practically flat for the Dow, practically flat for the S&P, up 0.06%, and the Nasdaq's up 0.16%. So as the market opens, leaders are Amazon, Tesla, and Roblox. Losers Ford, Coinbase, and Microsoft. So down 2% for Ford, up 0.8% over there for Amazon. We'll see how things kick off as the dollar takes a pop this morning after we, of course, get the CPI data released in there. Of course, for all of us crypto enthusiasts, or at least for me, my eyes, of course, are peeled over here to Bitcoin and its price behavior of what recoveries have looked like in past years. So we'll kind of talk about this, and then we'll even briefly point out this one right in here. That you guys may remember if you were here during when the peak of the market was coming in. We were talking about this type of top coming in for Bitcoin happening here, which it did play out, and then everything still continued to happen in here, and how this is like 2018, 2019. So we'll look at that because a lot of people are kind of comparing what's happening now to 2019 and 2020, and we'll kind of like show what price should have been doing currently right now to continue something like that. But of course, the big one in here is, are we going to continue on in here? Yesterday is the day where in our previous recovery behavior, we started ticking our way up in here and started to begin the escaping range. We're going the wrong way. So we'll dive into that and see, are we really too far out of line or not really out of line at all? Now, what's been incredible about these has been the timing of these. So we'll kind of go back a little bit and see where TradingView actually does cut me off. Are you going to cut me off on this one? Nope, you're going to keep me okay in here. So in here, right, so we start at the peak of the market. So we've got to start at like literally right when the peak happens. This is when Coinbase IPOs. All of your on-chain behavior puts the peak of the market right there in April of 2021. Our technical indicators on the monthly time frame put us at the peak of the market happening over here in 2021. In April of 2021, and we've dove into this many times, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time building the case on this. You can back and watch past previous videos. I think even in my most recent video showing the larger time frame, showing that with technical indicators all pointing to that as well. And as we all know, most of the altcoin market peaked back over here as well. But anyway, you can see over here how price did behave here. The differences between like these two peaks in here, there's about a 4-day difference between these happening in here. You can see this rally that takes you up right in here, right? We have a rally to take us up. There's about 4 days difference between each of these peaks and these tops. In here, it's a difference of 8 hours between peaks, 8 hours. Over here on the actual breakout of the actual range that happens in here, I think it's only like 2 or 4 hours. Almost not negligible, almost to the hour. And I want you to think about that for a minute. To the hour, we're talking about something that had been going on for a year, almost 2 years. We're talking 1 year and 11 months, and it happens like within the hour. And I want you to think to yourself how crazy that is. To do something for a year and 11 months. This one's within 8 hours, and then this one's within like 1 hour to escape the range at the exact same time. So here we are right now. Where are we at? If you were to escape the range, how delayed are you? You're probably about 8 hours delayed right now, 8 to 10 hours delayed on something like that. So if this, and I'm not sitting here predicting this is going to happen. It's just the observations of it. I mean, I think we can all acknowledge it's practically nuts. It's insane that you would even have this happen within an hour, at a year and 11 months within the hour that this ends up happening, that this one happens within 8 hours. And how far into it are we here? We're 11 months in right here. And we're 11 and a half months in right here. And it happens within 8 hours. Those are very interesting phenomenons to happen for Bitcoin. What is the cause of that? I have no clue what the cause of that is. But if we're going to continue acting this crazy or even point to it or care about anything at this minuscule of a time frame, you would probably think within the next day or two, if something hasn't happened, then it's really starting to deviate from at least what it's doing. Does it mean it's the end of the world? No. Does it just mean we can look at it with this microscopic view that we are and say that it's following it? Not really. You got this one over here. You're off by like 4 days. I accidentally threw the 2-year treasury on there. You got these that are off by like 4 days or whatever in here. But the most recent correlation was within an hour of itself. So we'll see what happens here. It's been intriguing for sure. If this thing decides to go the opposite direction and you go take out 24,700, it's probably just going to be an absolute slaughterhouse over here in the cryptocurrency market. Definitely don't want to see that, but I don't think all hope is lost in here just yet, but definitely keeping our eyes peeled. That pivot point of where that real breakout happened, it'd actually be like, I guess it just depends on where you are in the world. I have a lot of viewers, about 50% of the viewers here live in the United States. We got a lot in Australia, we got a lot over there in Europe, and so we're all on different time frames here. But like, if we're going to play this same little game, right, where we're just going to follow these things and they're going to happen right on the candles of when they're supposed to happen, right? That big pivotal moment really kind of came in as the day turned over today. Again, I'm not predicting that's going to happen, but I'll show you that it's been ridiculous how these things have happened at these pivotal moments, and they all act kind of within these like really silly tight time frames. And if that's to continue, you would think, going to happen for that to remain true, right? I'm not going to predict it's going to be true. For that to remain true, you have pretty much until like the day comes to a close today, UTC time, or like the early hours of UTC. So for me, that'd be like kind of like right before I go to bed, and just kind of depending on where you are. I guess UTC is going to be kind of that European area, Britain area, and we'll see what happens as you get closer to midnight. Do we see signs of it? No, no, it's going the wrong way. Definitely don't see signs of it, right? We were building ourselves up to go shooting up. We don't see that yet. So there would have to be you would think there would be some weird magic catalyst that would just show up out of nowhere for something like that to happen. Because structurally and like indicator wise, outside of getting oversold on Bitcoin, like you've gotten oversold here on like the 2 hour, you've gotten oversold on the 4 hour, right? See, these last times we've gotten oversold here on the 4 hours, right? These did mark pivotal lows in here, right? So you had your low here as we were oversold. You had your low here as we were oversold. And here we are as we are oversold on the 4 hour. So those did mark pivots. But you'd probably need something really crazy to happen for things to just suddenly reverse and shoot up. I mean, technically speaking, if you look at what the behavior did, I mean, it went back to range break. So it like would have to like literally to mimic that. Again, this sounds ludicrous to me, so I'm not going to say it. It's hard for me to even see it, right? I don't see it. It would like for that to follow, it would literally have to break 31,800 by the end of today. Do you see that happening? I don't see it happening. So I don't know. I mean, you're talking, you'd have to add $5,000 to the Bitcoin price chart by the end of the day for that to remain consistent, because we're not actually tracking this on the actual price level. We're tracking what was the significance of what the price was actually doing. And what it did is it finally left the range right now. And so that's the thing you would really be looking for is, are we going to leave range, right? So this is the peak of the range over here. You can see these little green, the green bars here. I'll move them real quick, right? We're paying attention to where this peak is right here, over here. That's where we actually go and leave the range is today, right? And that's what this all signifies here. So simply just shifting up a little bit and being like, see, we're following it. That's not what it signified. It signified literally breaking and moving up to the top of the range. Problem is, I don't see that being exhibited here currently right now. So hopefully a little bit of magic. Show me a chart, I'll tell you the news. Hopefully there's some secret news or something brewing in the background. But either way, time is a ticking for this puppy who has been insane. Even the most recent perfect one to be 1 year and 11 months in to happen within an hour. And then to go 207 days ranging just as we did there. We'll see what happens. As for this one, right? So this is 2018, 2019, 2020, whatever we want to call it. It's 2018 bear into 2019. From the peak, obviously, we know that our price behavior mimicked that very much of being deep into a bear already, right? We've talked about this. We've kind of beaten this. I don't know a better term than saying beaten it like a dead horse. It's just such a brutal term, but we've already seen this way in here. We've studied all of this for endless months on end to show it that, right, it's really like you can't argue it. The peak of the market actually is over here, and that this is the depths of being in bear for Bitcoin, and that when price behavior acted out like this and we went on to capitulate, it actually ended up playing out perfect depths in here, right? And even in here, this is a reach out to hit the 200-day moving average. That's also what's happening in here. This is a reach out to hit the 200-day moving average before it then rejects and heads down to the downside. Price behavior, great. We go down to the lows. This is like what you are looking at here for where price has gotten to compared to 2019. We brought this up a few times, hey, how can you compare? If we're going to draw anything from the past, right? If we're not, right, the stock market's going to be its own thing, right? Is this going to be the true answer to all of it? Like I've suspected for forever that it's going to be the stock market that's going to be the dictator. It's all just liquidity flows. It's one big trade of all markets all together, all moving at the same time. That if that's going to be the case, then it's going to be our own animal. And we have to start looking for what would be the circumstance of, if, in a giant stock market crash, and that it's going to hit, it's up, it's already bypassed the 3.618 extension over there in the Dow Jones. Whether it hits a 4.236 or it doesn't, if it starts tumbling all the way back down, what will happen with Bitcoin? The romanticism of Bitcoin is it will survive and thrive during that environment, which we have literally no evidence to prove that it would, because in every giant stock market drawdown, Bitcoin goes along with it as well. But if we're to say, okay, that scenario is always there, and we can try to look for things that would emerge that maybe that is the case, right? Like the 4-year cycles or the recoveries aren't going to continue anymore, and that we're going to do something totally different, and Bitcoin's going to not have a 4-year run, right? Which of course would just baffle the BPG 13 BCB. The Bitcoin maxis, right? They would have they would not be able to wrap their head around that, how it couldn't run in 4 years, because it's magic. It's a 4-year cycle. It's a block reward halving. It doesn't matter. It's baked into the cake of magic universe. But in the event of that happening to the stock market, of course, we'd have to pay attention to that. That would be a possibility. But if we are going to look to past behaviors, if we are going to look to past recoveries and try to draw conclusions from them and try to figure out what is the consistent behavior that happens in those recoveries, right, then we have been spending a lot of time doing that. And of course, right here on the left side of the screen, we have 2015 and 2016. Right here, we have 2019 and 2020. And right here, we have 2022 and 2023 to show the price behavior in here. We've shown that how the price currently right now does mimic that more of being in 2015, waffling around that 0.236 Fibonacci retracement level, and how the price behavior is just not acting like 2019 or 2020, right? So this is a 2019 run up that happens in here. Which, that it's like we're right here to kind of understand where this price behavior is here. If we were going to pretend we are in 2019, it is like we are right here. And you can see that if I kind of zoom out a little bit and you understand where this all comes from, right? It's that, see this area right here. Notice here. It's like we've only gotten right here, and then we just have kind of stalled out in here. This next leg up that you see printed on here, I mean, that's just the next leg, right? And then there would be another leg after that, even if you were to say price behavior was in any way representing or mimicking what happened back in 2019. We can even see here in the crash that happens here in 2022 compared to 2019 and 2018. That you're right, everything happens the same, right? It has the same kind of pausing points right in here. This fall happens down to the same levels. Let's get this just right. You fall down, you find some supports down in here, waffle sideways, boom, go on and hit the lows. And then price recovers and gets right back to here, right? So right back to where that, like you break the support, you kind of back test the support, and then you really plow down. That's what happens in here, right? This holds too, right? So you're holding, you break the support, you back test the support, then you really plow your way down. That it gets its way back to here and then really struggles. That's where we would have gotten currently right now with Bitcoin. That we haven't gone irrational exuberance in regards to price action with Bitcoin. It hasn't gotten really high. To say that it's going to act like that. So this is again one of those reasons why I'm so critical of 2019 to 2020 theory. That we're repeating this. There's 100 reasons why I'm critical of it, because this was a mid-phase correction of a grand super cycle, and that the correction we should be looking for at the ending phase, if Bitcoin's going to repeat, Bitcoin's going to start something up all over again, you would be looking for those types of corrections that occur after super cycles are complete, in which that's these types, right? It's like the ones we're talking about right in here, because that's what this was back in 2014 and 15 and 16, was a recovery after a super cycle, in which base building formed. You break out of a range, you build a new base, you break out of a range. And even if it were, right, so we could say this too, if it were to continue, right, even if you get this phase next, okay, let's pretend that the rest of October suddenly turns into something crazy and awesome, okay? Do you know what it would mean for Bitcoin after that? You'd get, what are we on? We're on the 12th, right? We get 2 weeks of awesome for Bitcoin. You know what comes next, right? This all over again. Another, 7, 8, 9 months of just blah would be the appropriate price behavior for Bitcoin if it were actually going to be doing something insane. So that's the type of recoveries that you actually kind of look for if you're looking for some type of big major cycle to go repeat itself. Again, I don't know if Bitfinex actually has all this data in here. It does. There you go. So you could see in here, right? How long do you stay in here? Probably the same amount of time once again. So this little thing that we're doing here, right? There you go. Another 185 days. Even if we do actually end up escaping here now on day 207, 208, look at that. You get a couple of weeks of fun and then back to another 185 days. And so what's 185 days? It's right at about 6 months, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, reiterating, if you were pretending this was 2019, you would actually be thinking this thing has a long ways up to go because of where it has actually gotten to so far. But in my thoughts, I just don't see the similarities happening in here to 2019 outside of, yeah, it is like this, but like really spread out. But I just doubt it. I do just doubt that to be the case. It seems because that we're having to use our imagination. We're really having to use our imagination on that. The thing I always like about this when I present data and stuff is I don't like to be like massively like I'm speculating on this because I have like for example, when Bitcoiners speculate on price based on the ETF being released or something like that, right? How can you quantitatively do anything with that? It's so difficult to me. So anything that I'm going to speculate on, I'll show on the charts and you can see it. And then if things start falling apart, you see it too, right? You see the exact same things that I see happening on here. So right now, the most interesting thing occurring with Bitcoin is just the recovery of where it's at and being back in here into these, are we going to rally up with it and continue moving like it has been? So that's the big watch. Keep your eyes on it today. CZ Binance. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He followed me over there on Twitter and he commented on my tweet that I made about this. When I saw that, I was like, oh, God. Out of all days, CZ, man, why has it got to be right here that you're going to follow me and comment on my stuff? And you've now seen this, that it's publicly acknowledged. I don't know. But we'll see what you think the market makers are following me to. Yeah, but that's the biggest market maker. So, yeah. He knows we see this. And, yeah. All right. Okay, what else I got going on here? I think that's all I have on that. XRP, boy, just a difficult one to read right now. I don't see anything clear on XRP currently right now. I do worry that if we do go below this current low, that it could cause a bigger move to show up in here. Building higher lows is one thing I do have some concern about there. It's now getting very difficult because of the fact that we definitely had a very nice clear accumulation range. We broke from it majestically and still just pulled back. And again, I think a lot of it is just going to be dependent on Bitcoin. And I think we can sit here and stare at this all we want and try to draw something from it. But I think the end result all comes from this on Bitcoin. And I think we all witnessed that with the SEC lawsuit. We won, right? Price fired up 100%. Guess what? The whole market wasn't ready and it took it all back, right? There wasn't large capital inflows that happened into the crypto market. It just blah. People selling off other stuff to chase one thing. And that's really just kind of what it became to be. And so I think the dictation of our entire market really kind of lies a lot here on Bitcoin and what it's going to do right now. For some optimism over there on XRP. You've seen it yourself. You've watched two really good news events come for XRP, unimpactful for price. You can win against the SEC, be the only one to not be labeled a security. And then, SEC loses their ability to appeal, right? The judge denies them their interlocutory appeal. And price, tries to fight, but price can't escape the range that it's stuck within. And it just seems as though we are in a big unanswered question on the whole market, waiting to get some type of break in here. But I definitely don't have anything super clear to say, I see something majestic here right now. I don't. I'm more so focusing over there on Bitcoin currently right now to see how are we going to make a decision here at this range. And I wish I would have commented to CZ and said, CZ, send it. But it's too late now. This wasn't that clever at the time. I did forget this. Yep. Follow me over here on Twitter at BCBacker. This is, or X.com. This is the only social media that I actively do use at BCBacker. Look for the verified checkmark. I am testing over here on Twitter with only verified accounts being able to reply. I don't know if that's a permanent solution. I'm trying to play with it to get rid of bots and scammers. As you guys know, if you watch this YouTube channel and you check out the comment section of my YouTube video, of every single YouTube video, every single live stream, you do not see the scammers in the comment sections of my videos because every comment is manually approved. And we do delete and cancel out and ban. It's over 100,000 comments per year. We did get a report on that to show that to be true. I think last year it was 100,000 in 1 year of scam bots, all that stuff. So outside of YouTube, I really don't have any control to be able to stop all the impersonators, all the scammers, all the everything. It's just out of my control. We're going to try this for a minute and see what happens, see if it can slow them down or at least get them to leave my account alone. And then we'll just kind of take it from there. But I've been trying it for about 2 or 3 days now, and we'll see how it goes. Again, that's BCBacker over there on Twitter or X.com. Of course, you can check out BCBacker.com for more videos from me. BCBacker.com, 40 videos, 11 hours of content, deep diving into the crypto market, TradingView, CoinTrader Pro, technical indicators, charts, all that good stuff, and historical behavior of the market. All right, so there you go with Bitcoin. Show up magical unicorn dust, show up in the next 24 hours. And if it does, man, I don't know. I think we've already proved it that the magical unicorn dust does happen when we saw the XRP case come to a conclusion when it did. But it would be nice to see another one to show up out of thin air, because right now I don't see the behavior of the market shooting its way straight up at all. It would definitely likely would need some catalyst to accompany it right there. So we'll see how that goes. There you go. That was your 2019-2020 talk in there, along with that one as well. We've done XRP. Looking over at the stock market, how we doing? Stock market has flipped red now that the day has gotten kicked off. There we go. Struggling up here at the top of its range. So it really shot its way back up for the last week and now really paused out here. Looks like it's still struggling today as the DXY is gaining a little bit of strength over there. Now at 103.6 as we got CPI data come out today, where CPI was just a slight miss or to almost meet. Core CPI did meet. We watched it yesterday. Producer price index did miss. But CPI was off by 0.1%. Expectations were that we would have 0.3% month-over-month inflation. We had 0.4%, which meant that the expectations for year-over-year would be 3.6%. We ended up with 3.7, which is flat from last month. Last month, our year-over-year report or year-over-year CPI was at 3.7. Again, we're at 3.7 right now, so no drop. But as we could see, once that data came out, it immediately sparked the DXY to shoot its way to the upside. Now over here with Federal Reserve interest rate hike expectations, you could see 89% probability that the Fed will be paused again on their November 1st meeting. So that is coming up in about 3 weeks from right now. Expectations are that the Fed will be paused, which if they do, that will be 3 times they are paused out of the last 4 meetings. I was told all of 2022 that the Fed cuts were bullish. Okay. Reverse repos, they still continue their way down. Doesn't seem to impact markets. They are draining out as treasury yields are up, especially those long durations. You got the 2-year over 5%, 1 year at 5.43, 3-year at 4.84%, and the 20-year at 4.98%. So you've got pretty decent treasury yields to go over here. So that's where all that money is going from the reverse repo. We have not expanded out of the risk curve just yet. It looks like now that the market's kind of settling in, you can see that the leader of the day is NVIDIA, Apple, and Amazon. The losers of the morning are Ford, Coinbase, ARK, and Caterpillar. with that DXY giving a nice little boost here this morning after an otherwise downtrending week. Still technically in a downtrend. This is a data release thing. We'll see if this is short-lived or if this thing keeps on going. Gold, but pumping its way back up, now starting to get its struggle now that it's gotten back to the broken support right in here at 1884, 1883, struggling underneath that zone right there. So looking over at stock market news, man, we're at 30 minutes of me rambling. Haven't even gotten to the news yet. Consumer prices rose 0.4% in September, which was more than expected. Again, expectation was 0.3%. However, it was an improvement off of last month, which was 0.6%. So we came in at 0.4 this time, continuing to keep the year over year at 3.7. Stock futures slightly higher after latest U.S. consumer inflation report. Obviously, this was put out a couple minutes prior to markets opening. Social Security cost of living adjustment will be 3.2% in 2024, well below this year's record-setting increase. So there you go, only 3.2. So that kind of gives you a clear. This is probably more accurate of what inflation really is. We're at 3.2, right? And then that's what they've adjusted Social Security for this year, as it's adjusted for inflation. Looking over at Bloomberg, more Israel stuff going on. Supercore inflation remains high, keeping Fed on edge. Supercore. Ex-Barclays CEO Stalley recklessly misled watchdog, probe fines. Republican divisions threats. Okay. China's newest move to support stocks seen limited in impact. Pioneers, Sheffield, Caps crew. Okay, pretty boring news out there. Of course, SBF trials going on. The big superstar witness, I guess that's what you call them, a star witness, right? Carolyn Ellison went on stand yesterday, dropping all the news on everything going on. Of course, the headlines are a little all over the place. One of them out there, of course, is that they were actively trying to keep the price under $20,000. I don't know how much of that is true or what the justification and reasoning for that was. Whether they needed to buy or anytime it got above there, they could sell. I don't know, whatever. But obviously of fraud and corruption and bribery and all the juicy stuff, right? I think probably out of the whole trial, this star witness is probably the big one. And then, of course, if SBF ever takes the stand. And I was thinking to myself, it sounds like Carolyn Ellison is doing a pretty good job just spilling all the beans. But, SBF is the master of speaking a lot, but not saying much. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like that. But SBF is the master at it. And I'm curious if they're going to let him go on stand. Because I think if you listen to any of his Twitter spaces that he did there in November and December back in 2022, he was a master of deception in those things and the ability to dodge, and very good. And I'm curious if they know he has that skill set and will put him on the stand. And if he does, will he be able to talk his way out of it? Because I bet he wants to go on stand and talk his way out of it. But all right, there you go. That's it. We normally don't spend too much time talking about the SBF trial, but they did have their star witness on yesterday, confirming a lot of the stuff. They were spending customer funds like nobody's business, like crazy. So there you go. Trezor releases a new hardware wallet and metal private key backup. Hey, a lot of people have been looking for alternatives to the Nano Ledger. Be interesting to see that. I've seen a couple of influencers over there on Twitter checking it out, and I'm not affiliated with them, but I'll check it out. I'm always good with like diversifying how I store my crypto. I'm always worried that one day something's going to happen, but if I can limit that impact, that would be the best thing possible. So I'll probably be taking a look at that here in the next couple of days. USDR stablecoin depegs to 53 cents, but team vows to provide solutions. Okay, I've never even heard of that stablecoin. And Bitcoin hits a 2-week low on U.S. inflation. When will Bitcoin price bounce? That's the $1 million question. When? Well, according to our research, we indicate that it's potentially going to be able to bounce within 24 hours. Or Doomtown. Okay. Alameda Research lost 190 million to scams and questionable blockchains. You know what I found silly is that Carolyn Ellison only got 20 million from all of that. I don't buy that. She only got 20 million. Latest update, former FTX SE. Okay, so hey, here's this too. I went through my text messages. Let me please still have it up. I don't. I had sent this message to TXMC on November 6th, 2022. Right here. On this day right here. I believe CZ has already come out at this point. Otherwise, I don't know why we would be talking about. I'm looking through my stuff. Yeah. That, anyway, like they're talking about how like all of it was an act, right? All the hair, the shirts, the shoes, the Toyota Corolla, they all did it for a perception. And in this message that I sent him, I said, dude, yeah, I do say that. I call people dude. I sometimes call John Deaton dude, and I feel bad about that. I'm talking to him like, hey, dude. He deserves way more respect than that. But that's what I would say. I said his hair, his oversized shirt. He acts like a nerd with a, quote, dad at the barbecue pit sneakers on, quote. It's all a trust me image, right? He's wearing these oversized shirts. He wears these dad sneakers, drives a Toyota Corolla. I sleep on a beanbag. It's all just this complete trust me nerd act. And then Carolyn Ellison kind of corroborated that in her testimony yesterday, that was all an act. There you go. Okay, we're done with Cointelegraph. This stuff always breaks. All right, so there you go. There's Bitcoin. This is what we were talking about with 2019, and if you were to behave like that, and why I don't believe that, we are acting like that. We're acting much more like 2016. And if 24.7 breaks, God help us all. All right, looking over at stocks, a little bit of mixed over here, a little bit of improvement. It almost seems like, Dow still down, Nasdaq up, S&P slightly down. Nvidia, Apple, and Amazon lead the way, and you have Ford, Coinbase, ARK, Caterpillar, GE behind. But all right, that's where we're at for today. Will the magic appear, and will Bitcoin continue? The furthest it's been off on this on 2016 so far has been 4 days, and its most recent one was within an hour, and the one prior to that was 8 hours. So we'll see. We'll see if this thing can continue. Like I always say, I'm not predicting it well. I'm showing you the data, and hopefully it ends up panning out. But all right, that is a solid 38-minute ramble. We're gonna go ahead and jump on into the chat, and I hope I didn't miss anything. That's what we're going to be waiting on for today. Again, guys, high likelihood there will not be markets in the morning next Monday. I will try to check in with you guys on Monday, but just not markets in the morning on Monday. I have some things going on. All right. Mod Barber, thank you very much. Says, thank you for the content. As for XRP, is there any bottom XRP is forming or where it could reach? Is there any wave count on the hourly? I'm not spotting anything on smaller time frames right now, and I sincerely believe Bitcoin's going to dictate it right now. This answer needs to be clarified here for Bitcoin right now before even looking at anything over there on XRP right now. I think this is kind of the most important thing. And I think we've witnessed that by what's happened over there with the breakout from the SEC stuff, the inability to break out any higher after the appeal gets denied for the SEC. I'm way more focused on this guy over here at this exact time. But thank you very much, Mod Barber. Not Whiskey 2. Hey, BCB, thoughts on 12K then Moon? Like 2019. My dude, we still haven't seen the original Whiskey, right? In quite a while. But not Whiskey 2. Thank you, my brother. The retail investor's dream. get washing machined for a year and a half. I'm just going to sell and it's going to crash really hard and I'm going to buy the bottom and then we're going to go to the moon. Thank you, brother. Sandal, please speak to the bulls to pump my bag. Everybody, tell CZ, man. He was the one commenting. Yeah, my wife was trying to talk to me, so sometimes I'll get sucked into my phone. My wife was trying to talk to me, but I'm looking at my phone, and like everybody's DMing me and messaging me and texting me and everything like that. They're like, "Dude, did you see that CZ Binance commented on your thing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they go, "Did you see that he follows you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then people start tweeting about it. I'm like, "Oh yeah." Yeah. So that's the guy. I don't know. All right. Patriot Scout. Thank you, Sendel. Patriot Scout 19. If Bitcoin breaks 24.7 and Dow Jones breaks 32.6, what will you do with your XRP? You seem to say if that's to happen, markets are going to Goblin Town. Why hold another X amount of years? Just you're thinking, not FX. Yeah, I'm going to sell some stuff, right? I'm going to reduce my exposure to the market. You know, I'm never going to go with 100% conviction that I'm always going to be right? What if I'm wrong, right? What if the market does crumble, but then shoots its way back up, right? But I'll make some decisions based on my conviction. And it's just like when we go all the way up for Bitcoin. I was fully convinced this was the top of Bitcoin. Go check everything, right? Fully convinced. But I only sold 65% of my Bitcoin because that was my plan, right? I even knew, I'm like, look, I'm holding 35%. I think this thing's going to go totally Goblin Town on us. But I'll hold 35% of my Bitcoin and continue to. Why? Because there's still the chance that I'm wrong, right? So I'm not saying XRP, that's just the one that I like the most. And I'm not saying XRP wouldn't get hurt, right? I mean, what if it goes to 20 cents? If Bitcoin breaks 24.7, right? You then have broken, you've done something you've never done before. I'm just going to say that. And I do not think that is pointed to enough in this market for those who are cheering for 12K, cheering for 23K. You are going to be doing something very different for Bitcoin. Very different. But I don't want to sugarcoat it to say, if that happens, if we break down here, that XRP is not going to have a rough time. It's probably going to have a very rough time if that ends up happening, right? But I will reduce my overall crypto portfolio, especially since I added a lot down here, right? I went YOLO. I pretty much doubled my crypto bag. My Bitcoin holdings right now exceed what they were up here, right? I mean, my Ethereum holdings are more than they were here, right? And I got at the peak on Bitcoin and on Ethereum. And now I've rescooped those up to where they both exceed how big they were back then. So I will cut stuff. I have plenty of room to reduce. Also, I'm not I have a lot of crypto. Okay, I have a lot. If it all went crashing down, it would hurt very, very bad. But it's not like I don't have money in other places too, right? And I think some people treat this as their only lottery ticket, and that's up for you to decide on. But I talk about it too, right? I've got gold and silver. I've got treasuries. I've got boring treasuries as well because of my worry on the overall markets in general and just where we're going for things like the stock market and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So it isn't a time where I'm screaming that the dollar is dead. The dollar is dead. No, don't be in dollars. No, I do see room for why I should hold some dollars. But I have a stupid amount of crypto. I think back to 2017 when I first got in and how much I had when I went through the ride up, and how different the world is right now compared to what I perceived to be a lot of crypto back then. into what I perceive now. It's funny because you go back to it and we all kind of lived through that same thing where we all like were told about Bitcoin a long time ago, but we never did anything about it. And then you got brought in for some reason or another, but most likely nobody enters crypto in times like these, right? Nobody enters when the prices are down. They only come in when the prices are really high and they become the exit liquidity, right? And that's kind of the path of entry into crypto for most people. I'd say 99% of people who enter crypto, you enter because you get in at the peak of a bull run and everybody's hooting and hollering about it. And that's this kind of the repetitive thing from 2013, 2017, 2021, right? Excitement, YOLO, everybody gets in and they get in at the peak of the market and they have to suffer through their first bear. But not only like you dismissed it when you're early on in your early days. For me, my first dismissal was like in 2011, around there. Maybe it was later, maybe it was 2012. But then, when I finally got in, I felt like I got in, but like I didn't like have the cojones to like really go in. And you look back on it, when Bitcoin was $1,500, you're like, dang, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with that, but anyway, yeah, I got a lot of crypto, but I'm diversified in a lot of places too. So it's not like my full net worth exposures in crypto. And I've definitely had times where I had full net worth exposure in crypto practically. No, not full net worth, but like all my cash, like everything, in here, irresponsible. And that was a huge risk that I took, when I did that. Again, I got into crypto back in here, and took a stupid risk in here. Very, very stupid. More than I could afford to lose was done in here. And it panned out, fortunately. But I would never recommend ever doing that. Yeah. So anyway, and I'm not positioned like that now. Like, still, the amount of crypto that I have is more than this is by a large multiple factors over. But it's not the same. It's not the same of like, just position sizing in relation to, overall cash position. You get what I'm saying? All right. Alpha Trader, CZ, BCB is cracking the code. Let's troll him and make him the Jim Cramer of crypto before we start losing too much money on the Pigeons 100x trades. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. My heart did say, like, a part of you wants to be like, oh, like, I've been acknowledged by CZ Binance. Ha 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 ha. And the other part says, crap. That's like the one guy I'm kind of like, well, I would, if you were like running a market maker on here and now you've decided not to run your market maker because you've noticed my tweet, that would suck. $1.8 thousand viewers with only 475 likes. Let's go. Let's get likes up to show the support for the best content and show some love. Thank you, Oscar. That is the number one way to support the channel, is with the likes. Michael J. Love. What's up, dude? Michael, I don't know if you heard me, man. I did get that, like I said, that next show I did say what's up, and thank you, man. And thank you. He gifted a BCB membership, along with Philip Mann gifts a BCB membership. Even Sam. Oh, we got Sam. SBF's here. He says, man, even I liked it from jail. Come on, guys. Even SBF's liking the content, guys. It's not looking good, BCB. No, I don't see anything yet, right? It's gonna you would need some dang magic for that to happen at this point. I mean, I'm looking at it too. Like, I don't see anything like overly bullish going on here, and by any means, right? And we could look at these. We see the price behavior. We see the timing of all these things. Yeah, current prices. That's the opposite direction. That's not the same direction as that. So we'll see how things go throughout the rest of the day. BT 7274. Woohoo, alive in Colorado. Sam says, I could do with some less love for CZ, though. Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress is here. 4-hour RSIs pretty low. Right, yeah, so we did point that. You do have some oversold RSIs happening in here. You can see the last few times that we've gotten down to those levels of RSIs would have been in here and in here. Those did mark lows recently. Also, I know we do have the trend line believers in the house. All right. Kind of got a little bit of trend line love there. Me and TXMC always joke about the diagonal trend line, though. Now, when it does come to like these, I don't like trend lines, right? You guys know that. But what has been a little bit interesting about Bitcoin's trend lines has been kind of those negative diagonal trends. Those have been a little bit interesting. Let's see if it works over here on Coinbase, right? That you get kind of those precise nails that have happened in there to bounce off of there. You've had them happening over here as well to bounce off of there. And then got a little bit going on in there. But, you know, how are you going to derive anything from that to tell you where you're going to next? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to tell you anything. But those have been some interesting behaviors. And, of course, you know, with trend lines, you have to have multiple points of contact, which we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And those are interesting. So we'll see if it has any meaning whatsoever. And even if it does have any meaning, again, a diagonal trend line breakout, it just means that you are in a particular downtrend. You've left it and back tested that particular downtrend, but it does not insinuate, moon. It could just mean you go here and that you're not continuing like that, right? I think we actually see that here and here. So, okay. Wrong way. CZ, this isn't what you were supposed to do. Ketogenic diet turned me into a youthful lad. CZ's in chat here to check the sentiment. CZ, we're super depressed. We hate it, man. 12K, 12K, 12K. So, all right, that's where we're at. We'll see if Bitcoin continues. In order for it to continue pivoting as it would, you know, it hasn't had any times where it's been more than like 8 hours off. So will this be the end of this 1 year and 11? No. It's not 1 year and 11 months. It's 2 years and 6 months. Is that where we're at? 2 years and 6 months of following along. The most recent precise one is at 1 year, 11 and a half months. It was within 1 hour. We'll see if the game continues to be played over here. And if today we get some type of magic show up. Big Stream says XRP to 12K. Tall Armin says, in 2019, we made a lower low. Why is it a disaster if it happens this time? Yeah, Tall Armin, you're going to have to watch my content, man. I can't go through all that. Like, look, I don't think you've watched any of my content, brother. I've built huge cases on that. Simply speaking, if this is still on here, I can show you really fast. I can show you really fast. Right? If you're talking of this, what's your problem here? One, this is just a full-blown breakout with no back tests until finally it goes and back tests its range. Go check out in here. This is all range. This is all ranging, breakouts, ranging, breakouts, ranging, and back testing previous ranges. That's also the case in here for our recovery back in here. 2019 is its own unique animal in that it does go in for full-blown full-blown retracement to then finally come back and backtest the range. Notice the large gaps in the retracements that happen in here that are never backtested with no supports built on top of them, unlike what we do over here in 2015 and 16, and unlike what we do over here in 2011 and in 2012 recoveries. So 2019 is a very unique situation, as it's also exactly part of a super cycle. It's this, right? It's this phase of the super cycle, which we do a big 85% crash, a big retrace, and then revisit the lows again. That is the exact same thing of what we're doing in here. And just for fun, we will show it. And then we'll wrap this baby up. Go off log, have to eyeball it. There we go, right? And so what the misconception is by most market participants, and why the top of the market was missed for Bitcoin, is because it was the end of a super cycle. And so we know that 2019, 2018 through 2020 is actually the mid phase, wave 4 consolidation triangle, contracting triangle, before the final extension happens in here. And so that's what we're looking at in here. And as you will notice, what do we have here? Crash, retrace, reaccumulation to the lows, off and away, right? What do you have? Crash, retrace, reaccumulation back to the lows, and then off and away you go into the bull run. But what comes next? It comes the accumulation after the completion of a super cycle. And this was Bitcoin's third super cycle. And so the hard thing to, the reason why this is so difficult to imagine is because of the 4-year block reward halving, the pre-halving stuff, or the halving means everything, and that it's not paying attention. The reality is this is not the start of a new cycle. This is still part of the whole big same cycle happening in here. And so this was actually one cycle that lasted from 2015 to 2021. That's the hard thing to wrap around, because then that just throws off everything for block reward halvings. It throws off the whole 4-year cycle theory, and that this was actually one large 6-year cycle that ended up happening in here. But what would you look for after the completion of that, right? We're not going to look for 2019 to show up in here, right? We're going to be looking for completed super cycle corrections to happen in here, which is why we use that we use that fractal behavior, and have noticed the similarities of that we expected all of this. And then here we go. We are literally getting the correction that shows up after the completion of a super cycle. Now, where would we be? We'd be deep in here, and it's like we're right there. Are we going to get it? Or is there bigger problems in Bitcoin? And so just the whole 12K theory, the reason why I'm so critical of it, I mean, just imagine this. People are like, I'd buy it. Really? What are you going off of? No, you don't understand. The Fed will make that happen afterwards. Oh, okay. You do realize, this market was primed for this, right? It was prepared for it before it ended up happening, right? It was all set up, ready for that to happen when the C19 crash happened. It was baked into the cake. It was the craziest thing ever that you have it already baked into the cake. Right, here you go. Here's your A, B, C. A, B, C. Right? And then off and away into the completed super cycle you go. And so I know we're going to 12K, and then the Fed's going to buy all my stocks. Okay. So, all right, there you go. That's it. Spicy. All right. Champ is the name. BCB, go and compare 2018-2020 Bitcoin plus S safety unwind often happens after the second bearish MA cross, and it's about 10 to 12 days after. What if that's BCB, go and compare the 2018-2020 Bitcoin plus Ethereum safety unwind. How often that happens after? We'll have to go and we'll have to do that another time, just for say. I wish I had that one pulled up. I forgot to put that one on the screen today. But we could do this: Bitcoin.d plus F.d plus USDT.d plus USDC.d. All right, this is the safety trade, which is now 4 months since it has topped. Do we have you in here? No, we got to put Bitcoin D. There you go. There you go. There you go. Do it quickly. So I don't know what MAs you're using. MA bearish crosses. Crosses are crosses, man. You're gonna the reality is that you're gonna get wrong foot on those a lot on crosses, especially if you're looking for golden crosses and death crosses and all that stuff. But you can kind of look at this and kind of get an idea. Like, here's what happened, right? Like at the peak, right? So essentially, you're kind of holding your way up. Then you really start to kind of, and get this off here just for the sake of it. All right, you're getting some momentum on top. You're holding on top of the 200. You're grinding your way up, right? And then finally it breaks, right? And so where are we at on here, right? This is at a 702 retracement, which is what we also saw for the Bitcoin dominance back in 2019. 702 retracement over there for Bitcoin dominance. And so what are you kind of looking at right now, right? You can see there was still a little bit more of this, right? And so we've had this drawn out here, like kind of that last little hurrah before things kind of pull down. And 4 whole months of going like that. We'll kind of thin this thing down. Right? It's really just not out of line. Oh, here, we'll do this one. We'll just grab it from over here. We don't have to modify it, right? So, and it's in about 10, it often happens after. So 10 to 12 days. I don't, that doesn't deviate from here. This looks like it really starts getting out of control in November, which is like 30 days away. So I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I have to pull that up and study that another time. I'll look through your message and try to pull that up in my off time. Mr. Nobody, good morning, BCB. I know it sounds crazy. Dash looks like it just finished a giant wave 4 on CoinTrader Pro going back to 2018 like XRP. Thoughts? Thank you. It's one of the weakest ones in crypto. Otherwise, it has to be the biggest, bullish, craziest thing in history. I don't see anything on Dash. I'll have to pull it up another time, brother, because I'm going to wrap this thing up now that we're past an hour rather than Dash analysis. But again, it's going to be one of those ones that moves with the rest of the market. Privacy coins have just been such a struggle. That's one problem I've had with the crypto market, just in general. Especially the Bitcoiners. We want sound, decentralized, permissionless, volcano magic money that nobody can take from us. But we don't care about privacy. Like, we're cool with the government watching us. Really? Really? No, dude. You just want your bag to pump. If you really cared about that, if people really believed in that nonsense that Bitcoiners spit, they'd be going after things like Monero. Like, this is the reality. They'd be going after Monero. And then the other privacy, Zcash or Dash, all that stuff. But you bring up privacy. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Really? How do you feel about the government spying on you for $600 coming out of your checking account? The IRS doing that. How do you feel about that? Oh, it's a violation. Okay, how do you feel about them looking at your wallet and seeing everywhere you're spending every single penny from your Bitcoin? Oh, it's a feature. Okay. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up. All right, guys. So we'll see if this thing can play along, or if this is finally the conclusion of it, and it is El No Moro. But hopefully we know by tomorrow, markets in the morning, we can get some type of surprise in the market. But boy, it's gonna have to be a big surprise because not seeing it yet. Otherwise, guys, I think we've gotten through everything. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Hey, one day till Friday, as I told my daughter when I woke her up today. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful day. Hopefully this market can catch some type of relief happening over here and the sky doesn't fall on it. Otherwise, guys, I wish you all a wonderful day. And Pac-Man says 23K incoming. You haven't listened to a word I've said, Pac-Man. You haven't listened to a word I've said. All right, good luck. I can tell you, if we get below 24, I will dump some of my Bitcoin. I'm not a buyer there. I'm a dumper. All right, yeah, 2 to 3K incoming. That's possible. All right, guys. I wish you all a wonderful day. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream. Please give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.